Hello and welcome to The Power of You, another episode.
That's right. Right above my right shoulder. Power of You up there.
Up there it is, yes.
There it is.
Up there in the corner.
That's right.
So we started last week this little series that's going to have 7 episodes to it.
Yep.
7 installments on the hidden laws of leadership. And last one was this essential self, and which I thought was a great. Humbly speaking, I thought we did a hell of a job on that.
I do too. I
Just
think
taking some big stuff and packaging.
I'd have taken our advice.
I would have too. As a matter of fact, I think I did at one point in time.
Maybe, I don't know.
Yes. What do we got today? What do we got on this episode, buddy?
Today is Law of Distorted Reality. and as we were talking of before we hit go, it was my wife said that was an appropriate topic for me, but apparently. So for those of you leaders who are married, male or female, we each have custody, whatever. There's your partner who sometimes lives in their own reality. This isn't that conversation today.
No,
this is not.
This is from a leader's perspective. How do you actually get people to stop paying attention to what's all around them and get, the whole idea of moving possibility into reality? Possibility it's a different reality field.
That's right. It is. Possibility is definitely that. So this will be a great. They're all great laws, these hidden laws, but this is a good conversation.
So the power of you. I'm going to start off with a little quote here. We always start with quotes. I love quotes. One of the greatest philosophers that ever lived, Jean-Jacques Rousseau.
Yeah.
The world of reality has its limits. Now, just stop for a minute and think about that. The world of reality has its limits. And this is what trips us up all the time. We look around and go, well, God, my bank account only has so many numbers on it. We can't afford that.
Yeah.
The world of reality has its limit. Well, we can't do it. We don't have enough people to do that. We gotta, and we don't have the budget to hire more. I mean,
there's not enough time. Not enough
time.
There is the world of reality has its limits.
But boy, the imagination, take the shackles off.
Yeah.
We can imagine all kinds of stuff.
Yes. Yeah. And that's the power. Speaking of power of you.
Speaking of the power of you. Going back to the essential self, what are you imagining? Here's an interesting way to think about this, at least for me. Yeah. You and I are both ideas, and we are manifesting the idea of Doland. I'm manifesting the idea of Blaine as we live our lives. And a lot of that ideation comes out of, daydreaming in one sense. What do you want to be when you grow up? Oh, God. Yeah. I remember when I was 6 years old and I tied a Superman cape around my neck and jumped off the roof. My mom wasn't real happy, but I had this imagination thing that was going on. And the world of the imagination is boundless.
Yeah.
And that's where possibilities exist. And the challenge for leaders is, how do you actually migrate that possibility into probability in people's minds so that it can get manifested as a reality? That's what we're looking at today.
Yeah, it's such a good conversation. It's such a good point. I really like this quote because it is everything that exists was imagined. Before it existed, it was imagined.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of times as a leaders, as you're listening to this, it's easy to lose. It's easy. I call it that childlike thinking.
Yeah.
It's easy to lose that childlike thinking and rather than allowing, because as we talk about this today, allowing the power of imagination, because it's extremely powerful. Rather than doing that, allow the constraint of reality. There's certainly things you got to take into consideration, but when you leverage that as a constraint, there's not enough money.
Yep.
Not enough people. There's not enough time. That's a constraint. That's a boundary that can be changed.
As a matter of fact, one of the laws that we're going to look at down the road here, I think it's about, we've got 3 more episodes before we get to that one.
Yeah.
And the law of creative constraint.
Yeah.
So we're going to be looking at that. The creative constraint. Whoa, there's an interesting one.
What are we doing? Yeah, shameless plug. Future episode.
So stay tuned. This world of imagination thing. I mean, to your point, nothing has ever been invented that wasn't an idea first, and then it comes into form. And Carl Jung, speaking of philosophers, Carl Jung said at one point in time that without the play of the imagination, nothing of consequence has ever come into being. And it's that play of the imagination that we want to actually encourage here in this episode today. Yeah, at least begin thinking about what's possible. What can we do out there? What might that look like?
Moving possibility into reality.
Possibility into reality.
Yet another shameless plug, but we'll get to that another day. There you go.
So, like we've been alluding to here, the law of distorted reality. There's as you look at this, there's 7 laws that we're going to be playing. And actually, the law of creative constraint is the second. 2 more, and we're going to be
2 more.
Okay, and then we're going to be. But today, the law of distorted reality. Arg. Let's see what that looks like here.
Yeah.
This definition actually speaks directly to that whole notion of distorted reality. And, we're going to be looking at a couple of things here. The last piece of this definition is the pursuit of a worthy ideal. This is a possibility that does not yet exist. It's a possibility that is steeped in inspiration, emotional engagement, energy, all kinds of stuff kind of lives there. So this is, we get this in front of us, and then, it's an activity of influencing others. So this influencing piece, when we're looking through the lens of distorted reality, you become the symbol of possibility, and you influence from that state of being. And that's what influencing others is actually pointing to. And then, influencing others in order to co-create. This possibility in your mind now becomes a possibility in their mind. And when that happens, when that transfer happens, now the magic of probability begins to come into play here. Because if 2 or more people can see a possibility, then it becomes something that is probable in people's minds. And then it's a question of coordinated movement. And this is why you want to not pay attention to current reality, because you're going to start running right into the demon of the how.
Yeah.
And, we can't do this because we don't have money. Well, okay, if it was possible, what could we do? How would we all of this stuff? Creative constraint starts to be the way that we create coordinated movement. All of it in pursuit of this worthy ideal.
Yeah. I love the statement too that you just touched on too, Blaine, around 2 or more, right? When that occurs and you're now in a position to where you have, because it drives commitment.
Yep.
Right. And it engenders trust, engenders transparency, engenders accountability, all of those things that come along with it. And it does begin then to move us into what we would consider, in a lot of cases, that's why it'd be fun talking about this, what we call distorted reality.
Yeah.
So, which fundamentally is saying, well, let's think about this differently.
That's essentially so to demystify that's exactly what we're talking about. Let's think about this differently. So the power of the mind comes into play here real strongly. And we're going to look at this in a little bit more detail as we kind of get further into this conversation. But this pursuit of a worthy ideal, why don't you take barbells in, because this speaks to the for the sake of what? Why in the hell are we doing this?
Right.
Sort of a thing.
Yeah.
For the sake of what?
Well, that's it. And, it's fun. So those of you who have heard the power of views before, and if this is your first time, we talk about power. We talk about definition of leadership and for the sake of what every time, because it's a universal application. And that for the sake of what, it's not, we need a 10% sales increase. We need a blah, 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 blah. We need to move the pallets from here to there fast. It is not. It is what matters. And it matters at different levels. It matters to the organization. It matters to the team. But even more importantly, it matters to the individual.
and you can't tell people why it matters to them. They have to actually explore that question for themselves.
You could,
Oh,
but
yeah, but hey, you're going to be making a lot of noise if that's what you're trying to do here.
let me tell you why this is important. Yeah, exactly. Oh, yeah.
You might be able to do that from the business perspective. Here's why this is important for the business. This is what that makes possible for us as an organization.
You can explain other domains.
Yes.
Here's what it means to your team. Here's what it means to the business. Here's what it might mean to a client. But to that individual, you can't. That's their molecules. They own those molecules.
Yeah. So they have to be engaged in answering that question, which begins to distort reality for them, because what you're beginning to bring into play here is something that doesn't yet exist. If we did this, what would become possible for you that doesn't currently exist? If we did this, what do you get to be or do that you wouldn't get to be or do if we didn't move in this direction? Those are possibility questions. And they're possibilities that do not currently exist in that person's current reality. So you're distorting the lens,
right?
And having them look at something through having them engage their mind in a different way. They start thinking differently.
Yeah, and I love that, because I think that's a point. Just to lean in a little bit on that, I think one of the things, to your point, they're playing this. And leaders listening to this, when you think of for the sake of what, it's a place where you aren't yet.
Yep. Yeah. And that's not to say it doesn't exist.
Correct.
But mark that one out.
Right.
It's already happened. We just haven't arrived.
Right.
It's already there. We just haven't gotten to that point, but it's there.
Yeah.
Everything exists. Everything exists.
Yeah. It's that statement. One of my favorite Mary quotes is, "This is what it looks like
as we're moving in this direction and having this unfold."
Yeah, this is what it looks like. But it exists.
It exists.
You're not there yet. That's the worthy ideal.
Yep.
You're not there yet.
Inspiration comes in. This isn't motivation. This is inspiration. It's kind of like, ooh, that's so juicy. I can't not have it. That is so exciting, and so interesting, or so compelling. I've got to go in that direction. I've got to keep us moving in this way.
Yeah, because that motivation thing, that extrinsic thing, you can have it. It can be taken away. It can be inspiration, can't be taken.
Worthy ideal lives inside, and the key word there is lives inside. Yeah. When you tap into that, now it's just a matter of full expression. How do we actually express this?
Right. There you go.
Which speaks to the soul of the business, the soul of the individual. Everything is looking for continual expression.
Right. That's right. Pay attention to those words, soul of business. You'll hear more about those later. Another shameless plug. You'll hear more later.
Another shameless plug here.
Yeah.
Speaking of something that always existed.
There you go.
Leonardo da Vinci, I came across this years ago, this drawing that he did of a helicopter. And when you look at it, you kind of go, but you can see that it's a flying machine. He's acting, and this was in the 1500s. Now, we didn't have the technology and some of the other things around material and fuel structures and all kinds of stuff. But the idea, it already existed. Now is a question of manifestation. Mm-hmm. If we all worked on the assumption that what is accepted as true is really true, there'd be little hope to advance.
Right.
And what Wright is talking about there is what he and Wilbur were continuously bombarded with as bicycle mechanics is, you can't fly. Birds fly. Human beings don't fly. Well, if we worked on that assumption and accepted it as the truth.
Yep.
Wouldn't have happened. Yep. And this was in what did they fly this thing? 19
off the top of my head,
I got it written down. Yeah, but
I could Google it real quick. But
it was 1900 something. I think it was 1900 something, and by 1969 we were walking on the moon. So if we just take 09 as the time that the first flight happened, which it wasn't, I think it happened actually before that, because we were flying in World War I.
We
with
were.
biplanes. Yeah.
Yeah. Biplanes,
So,
triplanes. Yeah.
in less than 60 years, probably somewhere around 50 years, we were walking on the moon.
Right. Right. Because
If
we
what
had the
we
will to
accept
do
is
it.
true is really true, as we said, well, hey, this is what reality is. Reality is what we make up.
Yeah.
That's what it is. Reality is something we make up.
Yeah.
Where
And
does it get made up?
it's interesting because I think so. Leaders, as you're listening to this, we have a propensity, I think, in leadership, depending upon our background, sometimes to hear what Blaine and I are talking about and go, yeah, that's woo woo. That's woo woo. We're making stuff up. We're using our imagination. I was, young way before this, color hair.
Mhm.
That guy going, yeah,
Mhm.
but if I do things, I can see it, right? Now I got to go do it. This is really important thinking. This is really, really important thinking in business. If we all work with the assumption that what is accepted is true, is really true, there would be little hope of advance. It's the same thing in your organization. Same thing with your teams.
Yeah.
Same in your life. It is that same thing. If you assume that that's it, there's no hope to advance. You're where you are. Yeah.
The power of assumption,
Yes.
yeah, is a double-edged sword.
It stands for something, but I'm not quite sure I could say it here.
Making a donkey out of you and me.
Something like that. I don't know. Somewhere like that. Anyway.
So where does reality live? Well, reality is defined in the mind of the leader.
Yeah.
So we want to be able to find ways to communicate and lead from that intended reality, not from the current things that people think are true. So a couple of things that we play with here is it's already happened. We just haven't arrived. That is the play of the imagination. And then how you actually speak about it, and not just linguistically, the words that you use, but how you actually show up. This is the influencing piece. Yeah. Your language creates and reflects reality. And we'll unbundle this one in just a minute here. And then, from a leadership standpoint, leadership is about behavior. So you begin to insist that people behave as if that reality already existed. And you're going to get a whole lot of yeah buts when you start doing that. Yeah, but you don't understand.
Yeah, but 3 words. Yeah, but how?
Yeah, but how?
Yeah.
It kind of it's a run-on sentence. Yeah, but how?
It does.
Huh?
It does. It's like saying, "Would you? Did you?" But anyway, you didn't bring a hammer, would you? Did you?
Did you?
But sorry. But
that's fine. Hey, your Southern is showing.
I know. That's a redneck revealed itself. Hang on, I'm gonna tuck it back in. Okay, there we go. But it's important, and we'll unpack as we get a chance to unpack all of these. But it is that when you do build that consistency and that continuity is a key word in with your team, that your team behaves, not just talks, behaves as if, and they lead from that place.
Yeah, boy,
it's a different the results that you'll see are dramatically different than where you are today.
And they are dramatic. And one of the things that will trip a leader up real quickly if they're not paying attention to this, this little 3-part piece here, is the default focus for many leaders and many managers is I got to get people to behave differently. I've got to get them to do different in order for us to get that thing out there. So the focus is on I've got to change behavior. And you and I are both married, and I know that. The point
I know where you're going.
Where am I going with this? Ever tried to change something that your husband or wife is doing? Yeah. Now I'm old enough to know, and I'm wise enough to know, and I'm experienced enough to know that I ain't going to try and do that anymore. No. Trying to change behavior is a fool's errand. But if you can begin to change how people are describing something, how I describe something determines how I feel about it. How I feel about it drives my behavior.
Right.
So the focus has to be, if you're looking to sustain different behavior in hopes of getting a different result, it has to work at the description level. And that's where distorted reality starts. You start distorting And then we mean this in a very beneficent way.
Yeah,
You start distorting the way people are looking at what they think reality is. And that's a function of the mind.
right.
How do I describe things?
Right. And that's the I just have to smile. Although as we are both mature men, we know that when we walk into the room and our wife looks at us and goes, we got to go change our shirt. It's not the right shirt. It's not so that our reality was bended. Anyway, let's.
You're wearing that, huh?
Maybe that's a whole nother series we can just do on advice on here's what happens.
Here's what happens. Okay. But this idea of the mind, let's play with this a little bit. Yeah. I've got a good friend, a fellow that I've known for a whole bunch of years, Dr. Joe Dispenza.
Yes.
And Joe is brilliant at what he does. Absolutely brilliant. We've got a little video clip here, about a 2-minute, 2.5 minute little clip that begins to talk about this distinction about reality. What do we think is true? Where does this come from? What's the trap that we lay for ourselves and for our people when we start looking around and going, well, this is just the way it is. It's always going to be this way. What's the trap there? And how do we actually begin to move beyond that? Yeah. So got a brief video here. So we'll pop this one in.
Does your environment control your thinking, or does your thinking control your environment? So if you wake up in the morning and you get out of bed on the same exact side as you did the day before, you shut the alarm clock off with the same finger, you slip into your favorite slippers, you shuffle into the bathroom and you use the toilet like you always do, then you walk over to the mirror and you look at yourself to remember who you are, then you get into the shower and you wash yourself in the same routine way, then you groom yourself to look like everybody expects you to look, then you go downstairs and you drink coffee out of your favorite mug, then you drive to work the same way as you did the day before, you see the same people that push the same emotional buttons, you do the exact thing that you know how to do and you memorize and can do so well that you're an expert at, then you hurry up and rush home so you can hurry up and check your emails, so you could hurry up and go to bed, so you can hurry up and do it all over again. Now, here's my question. Did your brain change at all that day? We could say that you were thinking the same thoughts, performing the same actions, that create the same experiences, that produce the same emotions, but secretly expecting something to change in your life. Would you agree? Yeah. So then, as the environment turns on different circuits in your brain, you begin to think equal to your environment. As you see the same people and go to the same places and do the same things at the same time, it's the external environment that's turning on different circuits in your brain, causing you to think equal to everything that you know. And as long as you think equal to everything that's familiar or known to you, what do you keep creating more of? Same life. Now, the quantum law is still applying to you. You're just thinking equal to everything that you know, and you keep creating more of the same. To change, to truly change, is to think greater than your environment. And every great person in history knew this, whether it was William Wallace or Mahatma Gandhi or Martin Luther King or Queen Elizabeth I or Joan of Arc. They all had a vision. They all had an idea. Couldn't see it, couldn't smell it, couldn't taste it, couldn't feel it, but it was alive in their mind. It was so alive in their mind that they began to live as if that reality was actually happening now. So can you believe in a future that you can't see or experience with your senses yet, but you've thought about enough times in your mind that your brain is literally changed to look like the event has already happened? Neuroscience says it's absolutely possible.
That's the power of the mind. You distort reality by entertaining possibilities. You don't distort reality by paying attention to what's around you. You have to think bigger, think greater than your current environment. That's the question of what if. What's possible? How I describe something determines how I feel about it, which begins to generate my behavior.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that clip and you can see him work. But I love that clip about that, because I think that's when, I love his analogy, Blaine. You talk about, I wake up in the morning, I go to the bathroom, look in the mirror, confirm it's me, just in case, take a shower, go to work, do this stuff. There is that rote behavior that occurs, right? And I think that's the challenge. The challenge as a leader is leaders, as you're listening to this, the challenge for you is in thinking differently, what things can I move?
Mm-hmm.
And they don't think little hinges. What little hinges can I move that give me the ability to see it through a different lens? Can I change a meeting? Can I move my desk? Can I leave my office and actually go sit in the cubicles? Can I go out and hang in the warehouse for a while? As you begin to think about it, you begin to liberate that opportunity then to begin that distortion process, to imagine a different outcome. And have your team do that. Just as a practical tip, have your team do that.
Yeah.
Challenge them.
We are creatures of habit, and it's easy to get comfortable. I am too. I mean, I love this chair. I
have a relationship with my chair.
I've got a great relationship with my chair. I love my chair. When Steve Jobs was trying to address a thorny question or something, and he was working with Andy Hertzfeld or one of his designers. Or whatever, they never did it necessarily in the offices. Steve was really renowned for, let's take a walk. Let's interrupt the patterned way of engaging in this office. Let's go outside and take a walk. Let's go. And it's in that walkabout, that things start to free up a little bit and you start thinking differently.
Yeah.
And it's that thinking differently. This is the power. We've all got a body. This is the beautiful thing about this. We've all got a body. This is a tool that we all have access to. We don't hone our use of that tool. And one of the paramount components of this body is this mind, not just my brain, but this mind that I can sense possibility. I notice something in nature and all of a sudden a light bulb goes off and I go, never thought about that. Where might that fit over here? I mean, all of this stuff starts to come into play when we're interrupting patterned ways of thinking.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's, go ahead.
I'm going to say, and just in support of that, the one thing that I want to kind of lean in on is it's a deliberate action.
Yes.
Interrupting patterns of thinking isn't something that's going to happen to you. Interrupting patterns of thinking, I mean, stuff happens to you, but interrupting patterns of thinking is stuff that you have to make a cognizant effort to commit. I'm going to go on walkabout. I'm going to take my team, I love the example with Steve Jobs. It's just, I'm going on walkabout. I'm going to go look at stuff. Yep. Go to the local coffee shop and see what you can learn by watching their best wait staff.
Yeah.
Go look, go see, go think, and break that pattern. And that begins to, we talked earlier on when I kind of distilled it down to distorted reality. Just think differently.
Yeah. Ask your teams questions you've never thought of asking before, because questions will unfold different possibilities. And the kind of questions that most people ask in most organizations are typical questions.
Yes.
The questions that people are used to hearing. Ask a question people aren't used to hearing.
Yes. Or the questions that seek simple answers. Yes, no.
Yeah. I mean, a great question to kind of play with is, for the sake of what would we consider doing this?
Oh, yeah. That's a great question.
What, for the sake of what? Not why. The top of the hat here to Simon Sinek. I'm not interested in why. I'm interested in for the sake of what? It's a much deeper dive.
Why is it great? Now, I don't want to demean Simon because he does a great job with that.
Oh, yeah.
But why is a great question, right? And the 7 layers of why. But it is that for the sake of what? What is it? What is it?
Yeah.
There we go.
This is what we're doing here. Language
segue.
Language creates reality, and importantly here, it reflects reality. So what do we mean by reflecting reality? Well, going back to the very first Rousseau quote, people look around and they go, well, this is true. Language reflects their assumption and reflects your assumption as a leader about what is true.
Yeah.
And the truth is nothing's true. The truth is nothing's true. It's all open for exploration. But the problem with exploration in this kind of a way is it's disruptive to existing relationships, because it's uncomfortable for people to begin, rummaging around in what they believed was right, good, honorable, whatever it might be.
Right.
You start poking holes in some of that stuff.
Well, yeah. People start rummaging around in it. They start making up their story. A story gets made up that's associated with it, because it's how I'm going to make up a story, because that story relates to me.
Yes.
Relates to my worthy ideal.
And the story creates reality.
It does.
So there's the push me, pull me sort of a dynamic in play here when we start looking at how do we communicate about possibility. You want to pay attention to what people are pushing back, because you will get pushback. That gives you an indication of what their current mindset is.
Yes. Yeah. That's a really important statement, Blaine, and don't lose that, leaders, because you will get pushback. If you do not get pushback, you've missed something.
Yep. Because nothing has been perturbed. And in order for something new to come into play, something old has to be perturbed.
There must be perturbation.
Perturbation.
Is that a word? I think
that is a word. We're gonna pull that out of the $25 dictionary here.
Bam.
Okay. This top piece here, language creating reality. I don't want you to confuse those of you that are listening right now. I don't want you to confuse language with words.
Yes. Good point.
We're looking at communication in the broadest possible way. How I move through the water, how I move through my organization. Doland and I both work with this notion called the bow wake. When a boat moves through the water, it creates, there's a wake in front of it. Yeah. And it's an indication of how much resistance is actually being created as the boat moves through the water. So that's one aspect of it. The other one is the size of it. Yeah. What's too much? What's too little? When you're talking about perturbation, you want to have enough perturbation that people are paying attention. Mm-hmm. Too small, it's kind of like, whatever. Too large, it's kind of like, oh my God, we're dying. Yeah. So what's too much? What's too little? You're creating a reality scenario through the way that you communicate, not just talk, but how you communicate. This is the influencing aspect of leadership. How do you influence? As you rock the boats, as you rock the boats in the marina.
Yeah, that's your job, right? Remembering that, and you've heard Blaine and I talk about this before, or maybe not. This is your first time you're listening to us. We talk about leaders cause movement. That's what you do, and the language creates that reality around that movement. Yep. And it is. Boy, there'll future episodes downstream. We could stay here for the rest of our time in this session. So, but this is a really important thing. Focus on communication.
Focus on communication. And what we're looking
at. There we go.
Yeah.
Lead.
Just lead. The point of movement. What kind of movement is being generated? What are you causing people to do? People will always move as a consequence of your presence in their organization, your presence in their mind. Mm-hmm. Yeah. You occupy a space in their mind if you're a leader.
Yeah.
How do you get people to shift some things here? Now, we're not talking necessarily here about focusing exclusively on behavior, but how I describe something determines how I feel about it, which generates behavior. You want to find yourself in a position of insisting that people behave today as if the future was already here. Mm-hmm. Going back to what Joe Dispenza was talking about, some of the great leaders in history, they began behaving today as if that future were already here. They were thinking today. They were speaking today as if that future state already existed And in their mind, it did. It absolutely was real. It was palpable. It was fun. Yeah, they could sense it. Yeah, and they would behave in alignment with that. You do that with yourself first. And then you start insisting that people do this in their organization. And this is where you start getting the yeah buts coming in big. I insist that we do this in a way that we would, that would be consistent with what we're doing as this ideal organization 3 years hence.
Right.
Yeah. Well, we're not there yet. Well, I know we aren't. And how would we behave? Let's do that. How would we behave if we were already that? How would we do that?
And I think leaders lose track of two things in there. Because one thing that happens, I know in experiences with organizations we've worked with, we've both seen this, right, with our clients, is when you're going to get yeah buts, you're going to get perturbation. You want to perturb. You're going to create distortion.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to distort some thinking and feelings are going to come along with it. But when that team moves to the place where they do behave today as if the future was already here, two things happen. One, that future, we talked about the future of the fact that when we're moving towards our worthy ideal, we're not there yet. It exists. But this is the path to that. But what happens is there's the truth of the distortion, that distorted reality is that is out here moves closer.
Yep.
And that people talk about velocity and they talk about scale and they talk about all these, economic, there's a bunch of economic things. But if you think about that, but if the team behaves as if that is that thing on the horizon, that worthy ideal moves closer. And it moves closer because you're closer to it.
Yeah. That's
woo-woo. There you go. That's perfect.
A little metaphor here. Current reality in my left hand, this future, this possibility in my right hand. We start insisting that people behave today. If I got to get it in the frame here, behave today as if they're already true. That creates tension. Creates tension. Tension seeks release. Now, there's two ways to release the tension. One is to just let go of it and go, well, yeah, just kidding. Yeah. The other one is to hold on to it and insist that people behave today as if this future here already was real. And what happens, you keep insisting, your present reality starts moving towards that future state. That's the way that you move possibility into reality, is you work with tension. You work with the idea that people have about what is real. You want to make this real. You want to have it seen as a probability in their mind.
I love it. I didn't know you had a rubber band handy. But one of my favorite things about that is I would tell the teams in that philosophy with working with rubber band, pull it until you see striations.
Yes. Yeah.
Don't pull it beyond that, because I don't want to be responsible for it smacking you in the face. But pull it until you see striations. That's because that will occur. That's an indication that there is tension.
Yep.
And then think of that future, present, as you move closer now. And what happens to the striations?
They start, you gotta reset. Another possibility comes into play here.
Right.
That's how, when you think about the soul of the business, I'll get my rubber band back out here again.
Get your rubber band.
Get my rubber band. I'm going to get a smaller one that'll actually fit the screen a little bit better.
Oh, there you go. Perfect.
There we go. Okay. So as we start moving, here's the future. Here's the present. Start moving in that direction. No striation. All of a sudden, you're losing all kinds of energy. Kind of like all of a sudden the status quo is set in and it's going, oh, this is getting a little boring. Reset. A new possibility. The current state is where the soul of my business exists. This is the idea that gave birth to who we are. That idea is continuously looking for expression, ever larger, ever fuller, ever greater. So part of the challenge that you're doing as a leader is you're looking at how do we develop internally the capacity to continuously grow and express. What do we need to learn new that we don't know, that we don't now learn? What do we need to let go of that doesn't serve us anymore? What do we need to hold on to that actually we can leverage more effectively? So all of this starts to come into play here as you're continuously finding ways to express the possibility of your organization in ever greater ways. That's what you're looking to do as a leader in an organization. That's what you're looking to do as a leader in life. My life has this dynamic to it as well.
Yeah. And leader, you want to remember that, leaders? Put a rubber band around your wrist and walk around.
Yep.
You give yourself a reminder. Anyway,
keep snapping it. Keep snapping it.
It hurts. Or make your team wear it and you get to snap it. But as we're going through this, though, I really like the concepts around this, even though my wife gave me eyeballs around this because of my own personal issues with how I distort my own another problem. But it really is, it's really important with this. And some of the concepts that we talk about, and a lot of times when people talk about, like Blaine and I can have long conversations, and we've done this on how do you make decisions? What's this and what's that? And all of these points. I don't want to get lost in this. This is a really, really important point. Insist that everyone behave today as if the future was already here. That requires a commitment, requires trust, requires accountability, requires the context. It requires those pieces, action. But by doing that, and to Blaine's point, with a rubber band, when you move things forward, now it starts to give you, as that leader, one of my favorite words is which is elasticity. As we move forward, what can we move towards? What's the next expression? And continually to express the value of your business, continue to express your people, your organization. Another shameless plug. But there you go. But lead, we could go on with this for a while and a while.
But the point you're making though is, your future is making the future your business. That's the net of all of this. Make the future your business.
Nicely said.
And your role as a leader is to make your future, make your team's future, make your organization's future your business. So you got to learn how to do this. As a matter of fact, I just put something up on my LinkedIn newsletter about study. You need to immerse yourself in what you're doing here. Study this thing called leadership. And we've got a Soul of Business Mastermind that we run twice a year. The next one is coming up October 20th. And you would be very well advised to consider is putting yourself into a 52-week-long immersion of leadership, learning what it means to develop the capacity required for successfully moving ever greater ways into the future, sustainably succeeding over time. So if you're interested in that, we're not going to belabor this. You can schedule a conversation with Doland or myself by using this link.
We'll tell you.
cal.com/team/LMM/LMM. So you can schedule a call with Doland and or myself, and we will have a conversation with you, not only about the mastermind, the Soul of Business Mastermind, but also about how we might be able to work with you one-on-one in your organization.
Right.
If that's of interest to you as well. We've got 90 years worth of experience in doing this stuff.
Yeah. There you go.
So that's what's available to you. That is, if there's a call to action on this would be the call to action. So I want to thank you for listening here. We're going to be circling back here in just a minute. I'm going to put a blank slide up for just a moment and then bring this one up.
There you go.
We got a curated group on LinkedIn. Speaking of LinkedIn, we're putting stuff up in it all the time. This particular episode will be up for a short period of time. These episodes, they're not evergreen. They've got a watch by date on them.
They got a shelf life. Yes,
they got a shelf life on them. But if you're interested in joining the group, there's the URL. Feel free to ping us, and we'll put you into the group. And like I said, we've got curated resources that we put in there, and it's basically a power of you community. That's what we are curating there. And curation being the watchword here, there's a library of these shows. We've got, I think, almost 40 of them now, somewhere in that neighborhood. There's a whole,
sounds about right.
Whole library that is available. And if you want access to these these shows, these episodes, the place to go is
there you go.
leader.blainebartlett.com/power of you. And if you're wanting to get some more information about that, this is the place that you're going to do that. And we would encourage you to actually, give it a shot. Take a look at it.
Yeah.
Everything that we're doing there is in that library, and nominal cost, but it's available to you and your team. The intent on this library is for you to have resources that you can go to your team and go, hey guys, let's talk about this.
Yes.
What do you think about this? And a series on decision making. How do you make decisions in your organization? We did a whole thing on total quality management through the lens of leadership.
Oh goodness, right? Deming.
Yeah, Deming's work on TQM, only we called it TLM. TQL.
TQL. Something. I don't know. I'm not sure. We called it TBD. We might have. I'm not sure.
So. TBD. There's something in there.
Right.
But do take advantage of that. So there's resources. The net of this is there are resources that you can take advantage of. The LinkedIn group, this curated library. Feel free to avail yourself of either or both. And
Please do.
Certainly do consider the mastermind program. Get a call with Doland or myself, and we can talk to you about that.
Yeah. Perfect. Well, Dr. Bartlett.
Dr. White.
Good conversation about being distorted.
I like being distorted. Distorted is a good place to live.
Yes, it is.
Yes, it is. Okay, folks. Next week, we pick this up again. Another law, another hidden law. And I'm not going to tell you what it is because I can't remember right now which one comes up in the queue.
I don't know. I know creative constraint is 2 away from here. So whatever, it'll be a good one next week.
It'll be a good one next week. It'll be a bridge to creative constraints.
Perfect.
Okay.
Well said.
We'll see you on the next episode.
See you then.
Here we go.